welcome to Sephora.
I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey.
I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse?
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi, Let's get you a basket.
Who needs critics? We have finance bros. I mean, come on. I don't know how good movies are.
They haven't cried at Hamnet yet. They don't even know how hard this is going to go.
Welcome to The Ankler Podcast. It's Wednesday, September 3rd, and I'm your host, Elaine Lowe, staff writer at The Ankler and author of the series Business Newsletter, here with Sean McNulty of The Wake Up and Natalie Jarvie of Like and Subscribe. We've got a special guest today, The Ankler's own awards editor, the prestige junkie herself, Katie Rich, who is going to walk us through the summer and fall film festival circuits from Venice to New York and break down why these festivals matter to the business well beyond the fawning trade stories of 12-minute standing ovations and beautiful photos of stars walking the red carpet. But first, now that everyone's back from the beach, back in school, and it's after Labor Day weekend, it's time to take a look at the curious case of the summer 2025 box office, which in the U.S. brought in $3.7 billion. Disappointingly, even less money than it did in 2024, and underperforming 2023 by more than $400 million. We'll take a close look at why we're seeing a downward trend for movies, and more importantly, what this means for the film industry as we look ahead to the summer of 2026. So, Sean, you're the guy who keeps us apprised of everything happening at the box office. Tell us, are we in some kind of box office death spiral? Did Natalie and I not do our part to watch Fantastic Four enough times in theaters this summer?
I gotta say, Elena, these numbers, based on your movie-going habits alone, I'm a little shocked. I thought, you would have gotten us over. The difference was, like 0.2% from 2024. To be fair,
can we call that basically flat?
Sure, I would have essentially. It's a technical low. But look, depends how you want to go with how do you place your bets, Elaine? But yes, I would call that pretty much even. Admissions were slightly up by, I think, 0.3% or something like that. So, yeah, the main thing is this. 2024 is, you well covered, Elaine, a little bit of strike effect going on in 2024 with the box office. So May was one of the worst Mays I think we've maybe ever, certainly many, many years, certainly we had the box office. So it's just that the comps, Deadpool was huge. Inside Out 2 was huge.
Right, we didn't have a Barbie or an Oppenheimer like we did in 2023.
This summer. Lilo and Stitch was the closest thing we had, but that was only, but $420-ish million US. Nothing crossed 500 million, much less 600 million, which those movies you mentioned, Barbie, Deadpool, Top Gun, those all crossed 600 million at the box office. So that's probably number one reason there. But a summer without a banger, it's happened before. We hate to see it, but it's not like, oh my God, this has never happened before. It's just that this is kind of what that manifests in. And again, as you point out, 2023 was significantly, above that. And that was probably the first, quote unquote, normal year we had, post-COVID. And pre-COVID, of course, was over $4 billion every year from 2012 through 2019, except for 1 year. So, again, that's not even adjusted for inflation either. So keep that in mind as well.
Well, Katie, Natalie, what did you guys watch this summer? I want to know, what was everybody in this room watching this summer?
What did you do to help out the cause here, please? Yes. Katie Rich, you're on the stand.
I saw Weapons. I heard, even before actually I knew that Amy Madigan was getting a long shot Oscar buzz for her supporting performance. I went and saw Weapons. I paid for that ticket myself. I took the kids to see the How to Train Your Dragon remake, which really seems to have gotten forgotten.
Did very well. Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch really overshadowed it. And I thought it was fine. I'm not mourning for it. And I saw Superman. I had a great time with Superman. So, I hit the big ones.
Okay. You did your part, Katie. What about you, Natalie?
I'm embarrassed to admit on a podcast about the business of entertainment that I didn't go to a single movie in theaters this summer.
That's a very, very creator economy thing to say there, Natalie.
I know.
Watching TikToks.
Yeah, watching TikTok all day.
I'm true to my brand. I watched the first half of Minecraft at a backyard barbecue, and
that's a spring movie. That doesn't even count.
It's true.
I know, exactly.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then I watched Sinners at home on streaming. So I'm trying to do my part as these movies make their way to streaming. I will watch watch them, but it just was not the summer for me to get to the theaters. So you can blame me for that.
There we go.
That,
we found the cause,
0.2%.
There we
And
go.
you don't even
Yeah.
have kids in the K-pop Demon Hunters demographic, which doesn't count for box office, but that would give you cultural phenomenon points, I think.
Yes, I had to watch K-pop Demon Hunters alone in my house because my kids are still too young. So, yeah, sorry guys. Maybe I'm the reason, or at least I can be the explanation for the reason people weren't going to theaters.
All right, we can blame Natalie for this one. You know, Sean, I was looking at Box Office Mojo and looking at the top like 10 list, and yeah, Minecraft is at the top, but that's technically a spring movie. But out of the next like 10 movies on that list, which are largely summer movies, I've actually seen like 4 of them, which is like a personal record for me. Yeah,
Good
Jurassic
for
World
Elaine.
Rebirth. Although admittedly, I saw that as a screener, so my box office money didn't
All right.
count there.
Sure.
Fantastic Four, How to Train Your Dragon, and F1. I was like, oh, look at me.
It's
That's
pretty
more
good.
movies than I've seen in the last 2 years combined in theaters.
Yeah. And no Mission Impossible? Was that in there or no?
No,
Mission
I
Impossible's
actually
in there. I didn't see that one either.
You know, but
Yeah,
Elaine
it
is
was on the top 10, but I
aficionado.
haven't seen it, no.
She's the Mission Impossible guru of this
Wow.
podcast, so she still has to get that
That's
done at
on
Paramount
me.
Plus,
Sorry,
I guess.
guys.
Yeah.
But you know, Sean, you mentioned in one of your wake up newsletters that there were about 30 movies released every summer from 2023 to 2025. Whereas in the pre-COVID era, there were an average of like 42 movies a summer in like 2018, 2019. And those made about like $4.4 billion a piece. So like, what should we just be making more movies as an industry? Is that the answer?
It's part of the situation. Obviously, isn't a one, this isn't just Natalie or isn't just one thing of a problem that's, going on here. Exactly. Natalie, you're off the hook. Don't worry about it. But, listen, you release, it was about 41 movies a summer, and then you release about 30 a summer, you're going to make less money. Like this is a gross tonnage number. This isn't a average per movie or anything like that. This is how much revenue did you make in this 4-month period. So yeah, that's part of the problem. I mean, obviously we lost the 20th Century Fox movie studio when Disney bought it, and there's still a little bit of volume there, but nowhere near what it was back when Fox was an independent studio. So that's a factor, certainly. So, we're in this, you said it says 2022. So 2022 to 2025. So we have 4 summers here at about that same number. I think that's going to go up, again, 26, 27 and beyond. But this kind of post-COVID average has been far lower. And if you put fewer movies out, you're going to have less money, generally speaking.
Well, how hopeful are you guys feeling about 2026? I was looking at the slate. We've got some fun stuff. Devil Wears Prada, obviously, making a lot of noise. They've been filming on the streets of New York City right now. The paparazzi is all over it. There's going to be Toy Story 5, Grogu, so another Star Wars movie. The 800th Minions universe movie is coming out next year. And then Spider-Man Brand New Day. So there's stuff to get excited about on the slate next year.
Yeah, I broke down the months because I was just curious. Richard and I talk about this every Monday in our Monday morning quarterback conversation on Substack. And, I was like, what does this slate look like? Because we're 9 months out in the movie business. You kind of have a pretty good idea. That's the one advantage you have in movies for being planned so far out. And, I'm optimistic. There's again, at this point, about 29 movies on the slate. I think more will slot in. So again, can we get closer to that 40 number? We'll probably do better than we did the past few years for sure. We have, of course, we'll have maybe an Oscar film, Katie. And of course, Christopher Nolan is back next summer. Can that be a Barbenheimer-like hit, an Oppenheimer-like hit?
And
Katie?
there's a new Spielberg movie coming in June. So all your prestige bros, untitled Spielberg event movie. With,
Yes.
I think aliens are
Promising.
rumored to be involved in it somewhere. But honestly, I can't remember how long it's been since Spielberg had a summer movie release. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, it could be back in that summer movie magic for sure. We have 2 R-rated comedies, Elaine, in the mix, which is
Richard will be happy about that. I'm
we
sure.
are already talking about that with Mr. Brushfield over there. So
They're making a new scary movie. I just feel
new
like
scary
the
movie?
Weapons and Sinners have teed everything up. They're going to have them back again next summer,
a whole
basically.
new set of movies to parody, Katie, and a whole new era here. So yeah, there's some, there are, sequels. You mentioned Star Wars is back and things along those lines, and Minions, of course. But there's a lot of, dare I say, originality. You have the MJ pick, Michael Jackson biopic's going to probably kick off summer in late April. We'll see what that looks like. A lot of Katie's not.
That one's feeling like a hot mess to me, but we'll see.
We should say that they had to reshoot the 3rd act reportedly this year. That has been delayed. They're now talking maybe doing 2 parts, I think. That's in the ether there. So, but it's still Michael Jackson. So it's like one of the world's biggest, music superstars. So can that deliver something there too? So a lot of original, again, it's not just like Fast X and Mission Impossible 8 and things like that. So
It's like a good mix of things.
Yeah, I think so.
Look, I mean, we've already got tickets sold to the Odyssey next summer. So that's,
right.
That's money
You don't
in
have
the
your
bank.
ticket, Natalie? You're not taking your kids?
Listen, I have not bought my ticket yet to the Odyssey, but I will be seeing that one in theaters. And if they want to pre-release tickets to The Devil Wears Prada 2 now, I would line up ready to go for that one.
Yeah.
Heads up,
Absolutely.
Disney. Yeah, missed opportunity. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm not shooting that
Unlike
idea down at all.
Depop or the Real, they should be offering you like bundle it with a pair of shoes or something.
Guys,
Or
free
a
ideas
fancy
here.
Coach messenger bag like the one Anne Hathaway is apparently going to be sporting in the film.
Yeah, the Chanel boots from the original movie.
Yeah, your $500 movie ticket will really get you far with those boots.
Now we're talking. Now you're talking Disney, Katie. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. How can we mark this up?
So, like, looking ahead then, how are we all feeling about box office 2026? I mean, like, Sean, optimistic, pessimistic?
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's coming to play next year is a big thing too. They're committed to think
they're
at least
12
13,
to 14 movies?
Yeah, somewhere in there next year. Paramount's probably going to be more of a 2027 and beyond thing. Warner Brothers maybe a bit the same when they ramp up. We have a new player in Black Bears coming to be entering essentially theatrical distribution, more on the the smaller maybe action and oriented side there, but another player there for sure. So you have a lot more volume coming in, and that's been the you ask anybody in the movie business, that's been the large problem or the large thing of we need more movies, and I think we're going to get them in 2026. And I think variety, again, we're back. R-rated comedies, we're getting some adult dramas, we're getting a few more things in the mix.
A little something for everyone then.
A little something more for everybody. So we'll see if it pays off. Hopefully it does.
All right, well, it's time for a little break. And then when we return, we're going to talk about the film festival circuit with Katie here and what the business can learn from these filmmakers. All right, see you back here in a moment.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
I'm Natalie Jarvie, and I write Like and Subscribe, a newsletter about the big business of the creator economy. It's a $250 billion a year industry, and it's producing the next generation of stars. If you're on the internet, and if you're listening to this, you clearly are, you can't afford to be out of the loop. In Like and Subscribe, I'll tell you what's next for YouTube now that it's beating Netflix in the living room, what's happening with TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, and whether Hollywood is still a place for creators to make money or just a legacy pit stop to bypass. I'll also bring you up close with the biggest creators in the world so that they can tell you what's working, where the deals are, and how they keep growing and growing. So check out Like and Subscribe by Natalie Jarvie. That's me, on Substack, a new subscription from the same team who bring you The Ankler. Go to likeandsubscribenews.substack.com. likeandsubscribenews.substack.com. I'll see you there soon.
Welcome back to the Ankler Podcast. I'm Elaine Lowe, here with Natalie Jarvie of Like and Subscribe, Sean McNulty of The Wake Up, and Katie Rich of Prestige Junkie. We've got quite the assortment of Ankler media newsletters represented here today, and we're going to go deep on the film industry, starting with the summer box office, which we did in our first segment, and now we're going to shift our focus to the film festival circuit, which I'm going to admit, to someone like me who mainly covers the TV and streaming business, feels very glamorous and elusive and sort of unknown. So Katie, for those of us who live in TV land, like, tell us what this time of year is like for you, dashing from one film festival to the next.
Yes.
Well, it's very glamorous when I'm standing in line, like a very crowded line on the sidewalk in Toronto, and there's like a granola bar in my bag. I haven't eaten in 8 hours. I have to like dig it out from underneath, and I might be like trying to file something on my phone at the same time. So that's, I mean, you just can't replicate.
That's painting
that
the
level of
picture there,
glamour.
Katie. That's really,
yeah.
you're ruining Elaine's vision of you right now, I'm telling you.
I've never been to Venice. I think even the people who go to Venice who are not George Clooney don't get to like ride gondolas and wear fabulous dresses. I think, if you're covering these things as press, the glamour quotient is just always going to be a little bit elusive. But Toronto is honestly a really lovely festival to cover. So there's Venice and then there's Telluride that both happened around Labor Day weekend. Our colleague Chris Rosen was in Telluride. He and I talked on Substack Live basically every day from there. That also seems very glamorous and beautiful and elusive. It's up tucked away in the mountains, and You just see Elle Fanning waiting in line for coffee or ride a gondola with Rose Byrne. Like, there's all kinds of stuff there.
Yes, name drop some more, Katie.
Oh, wait, I
love
wasn't
it.
there.
Larry should go to Colorado, I think.
These aren't even my names to drop, but it does have this summer camp vibe, which I think, Natalie, I know you've been to Sundance. I think it's like an even tinier version of that, where you're actually running into people. But you go to Toronto and you're kind of plunked down in the middle of a large city, and the festival does a good job of it all happening within about 6 square blocks of each other. So you're seeing people with press badges all over the time. You might be seeing some talent, but it's just kind of this very big, very scheduled thing. We're doing an interview studio this year, and the amount of talent who's been like, they have exactly 20 minutes to get in, get a picture taken, do an interview, and then leave to the next one. Like, it is like a machine
6 square
working.
blocks.
And, I mean, well,
That's
6
like way more
big square
compact
blocks.
than I would have thought.
It's pretty compact for a really big city, actually. And it's very nice. It's very walkable. You can get an Airbnb that's very central. Our studio is very central, but it's a lot of effort. So then when you actually sit down and you get to watch a movie and you get to see something that's maybe a thrilling surprise, like Knives Out when it premiered there in 2017. There's a new one there this year. It can feel really great. Like the discoveries and the enthusiasm of the audience are a huge reason that everyone wants to bring their movies there. It's got really nice crowds that are going to be ready to see whatever it is. And it's a little bit more democratic. Being in a big city, if you live in Toronto, it's like the best possible chance to see these movies early. And the studios and the filmmakers seem to really value the feedback.
Katie, I feel like this is the time of year when I start hearing about movies that I'm really excited to see that I might not actually be able to see for months and months and months. So explain to us a little bit this timeline of these projects come out, they premiere to press like you and, to people in the industry, but it then takes a long time sometimes for us to actually, get to see them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Hamnet is a really interesting example for that this year, and I haven't actually seen it yet. It will be in Toronto. I haven't gotten there yet, but it premiered at Telluride over the weekend. And Telluride, like I said, it's hard to get to. It's like a couple hundred people who are seeing your movie, but a lot of them are critics. There are reviews coming out. There's raves coming for Hamnet out of Telluride this year. So people are like leaving. I mean, one of my friends wrote the headline that was like, it will physically rip the heart from your body and all of the blood will be drained from you. And
I can't wait to see it.
Chloe Zhao directed.
Yes.
Shakespeare and His Wife. That hasn't come out until
It doesn't come out to December, I think.
right?
Yeah. So these movies that know they have the goods, that know they're not going to premiere for a festival audience who says, ugh, no thank you. You can use that momentum. And then there's a bunch of smaller film festivals that happen throughout October and November all over the country. You can build up on that momentum even more. So by the time you open in December, it's not like, oh, what's this new movie? It's like, oh, I heard about that one. And that's pretty invaluable.
Especially for these smaller, films that don't have a Marvel character or that kind of a Marvel-sized marketing budget, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of the word of mouth campaigning that can be really valuable.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Shakespeare is IP, but we're not going to count it for this one.
I mean, I've attended, like you said, Katie, I've attended Sundance and South by Southwest. It's the same thing with these festivals at the start of the year where, these movies are premiering months before people are seeing them in theaters and also months before awards campaigning starts. So having that ability to kind of build that word of mouth is really important. But also, I mean, with those early in the year festivals, like that's a long time you have to sustain that word of mouth and get people excited, which does bring us to like the Oscar piece of all of this. That's a big part of why people are going to see these movies. How does it help to kind of get that momentum going early on?
I mean, in some ways, Oscar voters are just like audiences where you have to remind them over and over and over again that your movie exists, give them a bunch of chances to see it, ideally give them a chance to meet some of the people who make them. There will be events for Academy members in Toronto, in New York, during the New York Film Festival, and all of these regional festivals in places where Academy voters might have vacation homes like Mill Valley or Santa Barbara or Palm Springs. It's just a long campaign. It's like a presidential campaign in some ways. And quality has to win out. You have to be a good movie to be able to get there. And if you're a really good movie, you can sustain that momentum for a long time. Like you mentioned South by Southwest, Natalie, Everything Everywhere All at Once premiered at South by Southwest 2 weeks after the Oscars in 2022. Nobody thought it was going to be a Best Picture frontrunner at that point, but it was so good and people kept falling in love with it and having the chance to meet the cast at all of these different events that it could keep that energy going. This year, the movie that's trying to do that is Sinners. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Not going the festival route, but it's the same process of just coming back over and over again, making sure your movie is top of mind for voters.
Here's a dumb question. When these film festivals, like at which ones are projects sold and at which ones are they more about like, press screenings and voters attending?
There is a Cannes market that functions kind of separately from the Cannes Film Festival, although there are some films in competition at Cannes that will be sold. Neon picked up a bunch of them this year. I believe Venice has a market element to it, and Toronto definitely does. There's a market where there'd be completely separate screenings from what's actually part of the festival just to catch the eyes of buyers who were in town. And then you'll get some major sales out of that festival as well. Like last year, the Audience Award winner was The Life of Chuck. Neon picked it up after it had already premiered at the festival. There's a couple of high-profile sales titles this year. Steven Soderbergh's got a new movie. Maude Apatow's directorial debut is coming up.
Which festivals are sort of most important to Oscars season? Is it just about like opening there or winning jury or audience prizes? You know, is there one or two like that are best predictors for Best Picture that usually bear out?
What a great question. For years, it has been Toronto, you know, really starting back with American Beauty in 1999, but really on this hot streak starting around 2010-ish with The King's Speech. The winner of the Toronto Audience Award almost always went on to a Best Picture nomination, and in a couple of cases, a win. And that's such a broad kind of populist thing. It gives you a sense of what's going to play well with people. The Academy has gotten more international. It's gotten a little bit more pretentious. Now the Palme d'Or at Cannes can be much more of a predictor like it was for Anora and Parasite. And then the Telluride audience can kind of reflect that a little bit more of just kind of people with fancier taste. But then there's all these, again, these smaller regional festivals, and like no one's going to be running around being like, it won the Audience Award at the Hamptons Film Festival. But like that can tell you if something like Anora, which might feel like it's too alienating or too arty, like if it's going to play well with a crowd, those are the places where you're going to figure it out. So I think everyone would have a different answer, and like it depends on the movie in a lot of cases about what's the best place for it.
It's interesting. I feel like there's so many of these predictors now. And the fact that, you know, people start talking about these movies that are going to be in the Oscar race so early. Before I worked in this business, like the Oscars felt like this big, exciting, surprising, like what's going to win? And now by the time
it's been ruined for me.
Yeah. Well, a little bit, because now it feels like, you know, the people who do this for a living like you and others like can really crunch the numbers and figure out like these are probably going to be, you know, the nominees. And these are the likely winners. I find it so fascinating that Hollywood has essentially like gamified the process of handing out these awards.
I think you can do that to a certain extent. And there's betting markets about all this stuff. You can place your bet right now on whether you think Frankenstein will get a Best Picture nomination. But I think it can only take you so far. I think nobody knew that Anora was the Best Picture frontrunner. The betting markets didn't know. People who I talk to and talk about this stuff all the time didn't know. Voters didn't know until all of a sudden it won two big awards in the same night a month before the Oscars. So there is a lot of narrowing down, but you're never going to know what's really going to happen. And that's where the surprise kind of stays alive for me.
The whole betting markets part of this equation now is so interesting. Like, when did that emerge? Like, I know our Matthew Frank has written a little bit about it, so anybody listening should go and read that story on theankler.com. But I feel like I've only really started hearing about it anecdotally, like over the last year.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and I am certainly no expert on it, but I definitely remember like looking at the Kalshi trend line on Anora specifically and how it just spiked right up after it won the PGA and WGA awards or DGA awards. So you could have done that. And I think the betting markets are interesting as kind of to see the general consensus in numbers, but I don't think it knows any more than anybody else does. You know, the axiom that nobody knows anything, I think, is as true about awards race as it is anything else in Hollywood.
I mean, who needs critics? We have finance bros. I mean, come on. I don't know how good movies are.
They haven't cried at Hamnet yet. They don't even know how hard this is going to go.
Some real feelings coming out.
Like, how much money is being bet on the, like, how much money is in these pools, Sean? Do you know on the Kalshi market?
I don't know.
Yeah, Matthew and I, he's the, again, the Kalshi guru here at the Ankler. So as we go through, it's real money. You could win like, it's hundreds if not thousands of dollars.
There's $471,000 in the Best Picture nominations Kalshi market right now. So everyone I'm sure it's going to get much bigger. But everyone get in there now. If you think Jay
10X.
Kelly is going all the way, there's good odds there.
Going Netflix, yeah.
Well, it's interesting, Katie. You mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters, which I feel like we should talk about here because, you know, obviously this one was the surprise of the summer. Also didn't have a big festival premiere or anything like that. We don't know how it will perform at the Oscars, but it seems like at least for like original song, it's got a good shot, animated feature as well. How much weight should we be putting behind these big festival premieres and runs and the talk that comes out of them if then something like K-pop Demon Hunters can go and just pop on Netflix and suddenly become the next big phenomenon?
Well, let me tell you how much Netflix thinks that they should be putting weight in it, is that they are bringing part of the cast of K-pop Demon Hunters to Toronto. They're having a karaoke party, which I'm afraid is invite only. So anyone who's listening. I think that guest list is done. They're doing some interviews. So they see the value in positioning that movie at this festival. And just to kind of tell everyone the extent to which they're going for it, I think it would be a contender no matter what. And I think what you're saying, Natalie, is exactly right, that like something being able to become an organic hit like that shows that there's a lot of different paths there. But it's also the first Netflix original movie ever, I think, and Sean, you can question me, to be a hit like this. Like Netflix original has ever penetrated like this. Yeah. So, and they have spent how much money trying to get that far with all of these other, Roma's, Power of the Dog, all of these things. So, it proves that as much as Netflix knows everything, they can't know this much, but they are very wisely, I think, jumping on that train and riding with it. And I think I would at this point feel like it's going to win animated and song. And also if it doesn't win song, it would be crazy. That's maybe my hottest take on the Oscars right now.
Yeah, it's actual great songs that are in the movie and part of the plot, which is what you want for best song.
It's organic, right?
Yeah.
It's not an end credit song or like...
It's got to be like the most well-known song that's gunning for an Oscar right now.
At least since, Shallow from A Star Is Born, which I'm sure did not have nearly the number of streams that Golden does at this point.
Yeah, and the Springsteen movie doesn't have original songs. They're all movies.
No,
songs
although Wicked does have original songs.
Oh,
so
does
we
it?
do.
Oh.
It might be Wicked's Incredible Bad Luck that last year.
Wow, Wicked
Part 1 had no original songs, so it was a very weak original song race last year. And now that Wicked's coming with its 2 originals, it's going to get blown out of the water by K-pop.
Showdown, end of year. I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Steve's Lava Chicken is not going to get a nom despite how popular it is.
Okay, all right. So Jack Black was eligible for an original song from the Mario movie. You might remember.
That's right. Mario,
Peaches. I interviewed him for a pre-Oscar shortlist interview. It would run once the Oscar shortlist came out because we all figured, he's going to make the shortlist at least. And then he wasn't even put on the shortlist, which I thought was very rude because I thought that was a pretty good song. Jack Black.
It's just bad manners. Listen.
Jack Black has given a lot to the world of movie songs.
Come on.
Steve's Lava Chicken seems like a bigger hit. I mean, if you have that and a K-pop song, like my children will be beyond excited for the
tune-in
Oscars.
Factor.
I was going to say the under 15 set will tune into the Oscars like never before.
I mean, I think it's
as long as we get performances this year, they'll have to.
That would be crazy if they didn't let them perform. But I do think we're in for a good blockbuster year for the Oscars.
Yeah, that's my question. Because last year was a big indie thing, Katie, and I'm like, which is fine. And Richard wrote a lot about this last year. It's like, what do you think of like the populist vote, if you will, this year? What's it looking like in that regard?
I think it's a great thing if it works out. I mean, I think Sinners is certainly going to be in there.
I think Sinners, that's my favorite movie this year.
I think Weapons is getting some kind of nomination. Like, supporting actress is kind of a weak field. I think Amy Madigan could happen. I'd be thrilled. K-pop Demon Hunter's in there. And then we've got Wicked and Avatar coming at the end of the year. Right. So, like, those alone. And then who knows what might happen with Marty Supreme or some of these One Battle After Another, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Right,
like,
we didn't mention that.
Yeah, there's promising stuff on the horizon. And I'm always excited when big movies, like the Barbie Oppenheimer year was just one of the most fun Oscar years you can possibly have because it's just movies that everybody cares about. It's hard to top the I'm Just Ken performance at the Oscars, but I think K-pop Demon Hunters and I think there's original songs in Sinners too, so we could have a lot going on.
That's true. Sinners are great music. Yeah.
Standing in the lobby of the Dolby Theater as all the Kens filtered out going, Ken was probably like the highlight of my career at this point.
I think about that all the time because I was there as you sent that dispatch and I just was so jealous of you in that moment.
It was amazing. Well, Katie, I know you've said that it's hard to predict and that there's always surprises, but of the movies that you're going to be seeing it at TIFF or that others will be seeing at TIFF, like what are the Oscar movies that we should be paying attention to?
Hamnet, high on my list. Obviously, people have seen it already. I'm really excited to see The Smashing Machine and Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice, which premiered at Venice and got rave reviews. Like he's an international auteur who I think is like ready for his Oscar breakout, and this might be the year for that to happen. There's smaller stuff like John Early, the comedian, directed a movie called Maddie's Secret that I haven't seen. No one has seen. Total mystery. Could be really fun. And then we're all keeping an eye on Rental Family, which is stars Brendan Fraser. It's his big follow-up to winning the Oscar for The Whale. It looks like this kind of heartwarming fish out of water story about a man in Japan. So I'm keeping an eye on that too.
And lastly, to wrap up, like we know why film festivals matter to creatives and why it matters to award season, but like sort of walk us through the ripple effect it has all the way through the box office.
We have another Knives Out movie coming this year. Those movies do play in theaters, which is great. And maybe after K-pop, Netflix is even more excited about theatrical. But it's just really hard to kind of get that kind of bump like you would have. Like American Fiction big hit at Toronto 2 years ago. I thought a great movie. I'm sure it made money, but I don't think it like popped in any big way. So I think you hope for the doubles more than like the huge hits. You hope for something like Anora, which was pretty low grossing, but for what we can expect from movies these days, did pretty well. And, you make the money work out eventually down the line. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, and I think that's always the, a complete unknown, which I was with Bob Dylan. You had
and skipped festivals. So
right, exactly. But that became part of the Oscar conversation certainly last year. But that was probably the biggest box office sense of that movie.
Yeah.
Poor Things also did
that's a good point.
rather well, more internationally than domestic. Everything Everywhere, which, did about 75 million, I think, US eventually. But that was a long run.
Well, Parasite. I mean, Parasite's pre-COVID, but that's a movie.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID.
And that's a movie that really rode all that festival hype to box office directly. Like, you can really see that effect. And so can something do that again post-COVID? I think we would love for it to happen. We're trying to see if it is still possible.
Well, before we go, tell us a little bit about this panel you're doing at TIFF, Katie.
Oh my God.
And tell us about After Party.
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, we'll be doing a bunch of interviews in our Ankler studio, the first time we've ever had one. So you can find those on the Anklers YouTube page. We'll be doing daily Prestige Junkie Sends, so we'll be able to catch you up on all of those. I'll be doing a live on stage version of the podcast on Sunday, September 7th at 4:30, talking to Joel Edgerton, the star of Train Dreams, a movie that I love and that Netflix is putting out and I'm really rooting for in award season. So there's tickets for that. If you're an After Party subscriber, which is our paid tier for Prestige Junkie, you can get free tickets to that and also get access to the Substack Lives that Chris Rosen and I will be doing. We're, I guess I can reveal, we're dragging Richard Rushfield with us into the mobile Criterion closet. We'll be.
I can't wait for that.
I don't want to jinx it because I just feel like so many things could go wrong to keep us from
now
getting there.
you're manifesting it.
I know.
It has to happen.
It has to
Brush
happen.
up on your 1940s movies, Katie. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I'm really not prepared for what I'm going to have to choose in there. So we'll be doing a lot of fun stuff. A lot of it will just be for paid After Party subscribers. So now's a great time to join us. And at some point next week, I'll take a nap after making all of this stuff happen.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Katie. That is a wrap on this week's Ankler podcast. Visit theankler.com to subscribe to all of our newsletters and pods to stay ahead of what's happening in the industry. And if you like hanging out with us every week and feel like we've made you smarter and savvier about doing business in Hollywood, leave us a rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening in from. You can also follow us at The Ankler on all major social platforms. Thanks to Sean McNulty and Natalie Jarvie as always, and a special thanks to Katie Rich. And thank you all for listening. I'm Elaine Lowe. See you next week.